remember, during the 19th century, there were great changes happening. The industrial society was coming up. There were people with machines who were able to manufacture products and make money without necessarily having been born in the right family. So there was an emerging middle class, or an emerging class of wealthy people who did not come from families that were traditionally rich and wealthy because they belonged to the aristocracy. So this was a threat to the people at the top who made their wealth by inheritance. So how do you deal with these people? You tell them that there's something, because there's something special about you as an aristocrat. Everybody else who wants the same status you have has to meet some kind of standard for them to prove themselves worthy of rising up the social ranks. And how do you do this? You do this through education and exams. So, for example, all the members of the middle class who are now able to afford a type of education that was similar to that of aristocrats now had to pass exams for them to be admitted to the aristocratic institutions like Oxford and Cambridge. But we also need to remember that this was around the time when they were coming to Africa to colonize us. So even the people who would join Her Majesty's imperial government were people who had to prove themselves worthy by passing these exams. So the people who came here came with that culture that if you wanted to join government, if you wanted to have privileges under the colonial system, you had to have proven yourself worthy, and you did this through exams. So even the Africans who wanted to avoid forced labor under colonial government, who wanted the privileges they were seeing in colonial society, and especially with the European settlers, they saw exams as a way to ascend the ladder. The other thing I need to remind you is that because exams were for deciding power and social rank rather than intelligence, even in the 19th century when exams started, there was still a problem with integrity of examinations. And for example, one of the things that the colonial administration did was to give preference to people from Oxford and Cambridge in the government. So even if the results did not reflect the dominance of people from these schools, their results were, let's call it, massaged so that they are able to join government. So this shows us two things about examinations in Kenya. Number one is that examinations are not ultimately, the end goal is not about intelligence or academic performance, but about rising through the social ranks. And the second thing is that because of this system, even cheating becomes part and parcel of the exam process. So when people promise us that they can use the police to remove cheating in exams, they are selling us a fantasy, because as long as exams are used to decide who becomes a doctor and who becomes a cleaner, then people are going to try and game the system and find other ways of getting good results. So in actual fact, it's not even the exams that are a form of cheating in society. It's at the very top, the idea that people can gain wealth and power through no work of their own, but through the work of others, just because they were born in the right family, is already a lie, and that lie produces the results that you see, the inequality that you see in our education system, which is perpetuated through examinations.